When Nazi Germany collapsed in 1945, the world thought the nightmare had finally ended. But as Allied troops advanced through the ruins of the Third Reich, they uncovered things even darker than the war itself. Secret tunnels, human experiments, and weapons far beyond their time. What they found revealed how close the Nazis came to changing history forever. But here's the haunting question. What if some of these discoveries were never truly destroyed, but merely buried? Let's uncover the most terrifying finds of Nazi Germany, and the chilling secrets still echoing beneath Europe. When Berlin fell in 1945, much of the world saw the event as the final defeat of evil. But for those sent to investigate what remained of Hitler's empire, victory quickly turned to horror. Every new discovery unearthed not just wreckage, but evidence of a regime that had fused science, ideology, and cruelty in a way the world had never seen before. By late 1943, Nazi Germany was losing the war on every front. Cities lay in ruins, supply lines crumbled, and morale was collapsing. But Hitler refused to surrender. Instead, he placed his faith in what he called Wunderwaffe, wonder weapons. These were meant to turn the tide of war, a desperate bid to make technology succeed where armies had failed. The most famous of these was the V2 rocket, the world's first ballistic missile. It could strike from over 200 miles away, traveling faster than sound, so fast that victims never heard it coming. Between 1944 and 1945, over 3,000 were launched, mostly targeting London and Antwerp. Entire streets vanished in seconds. To those on the ground, the V2 wasn't just a weapon, it was a symbol of terror, an unseen death that fell from the heavens. Yet even as Allied bombers reduced German cities to rubble, Hitler dreamed bigger. Documents later uncovered revealed plans for the America bomber, a long-range aircraft designed to cross the Atlantic and strike New York City. The goal wasn't military victory, it was psychological domination, to show that nowhere on Earth was beyond his reach. Many of these projects began at the Peenemünde Army Research Center, a top-secret facility on Germany's Baltic coast. From 1936 onward, scientists under Wernher von Braun tested rockets that would later shape both warfare and space exploration. When Allied forces seized Peenemünde, they found destroyed laboratories, rocket fragments, and extensive blueprints. But the most shocking discovery wasn't the technology, it was the human cost behind it. Production of the V2 rockets had been moved underground to avoid Allied bombings, to a complex called Mittelwerk near the town of Nordhausen. There, tens of thousands of prisoners from concentration camps, mostly from Dora Mittelbau, were forced to build rockets in horrific conditions. They worked 16-hour shifts in tunnels carved from rock, without sunlight, food, or proper ventilation. Over 20,000 died, more than the number of people killed by the rockets themselves. Each V2 that reached London carried not only explosives, but the lives of those who perished constructing it. Among the strangest discoveries of the post-war years was a rumoured device known as Die Glocke, the bell. According to testimonies from captured SS scientists, this bell-shaped machine emitted a deadly radiation field and contained 2 cylinders filled with a metallic liquid called Serum 525. When activated, it supposedly rotated at extreme speed between electromagnetic rings, producing light and vibrations that defied explanation. Some claimed it was an attempt at anti-gravity propulsion. Others believed it aimed to manipulate time or space. No physical trace of the bell was ever recovered, and its alleged test site in Lower Silesia remains shrouded in mystery. While most historians view the bell as an exaggerated wartime myth, its story reflects a disturbing truth, that Nazi scientists genuinely experimented with physics far ahead of contemporary understanding. Projects exploring nuclear fission, particle acceleration, and magnetic propulsion were all underway by 1945. How far they got before the Reich collapsed remains unknown. As Allied intelligence advanced, they began uncovering vast underground complexes, some so large they seemed like entire buried cities. In the Harz Mountains, tunnels extended for miles, filled with machine tools, living quarters, and storage rooms. These were meant to serve as bomb-proof factories and last resort headquarters for Nazi leadership. The most notorious was the complex known as Project Ries, hidden deep within the Ural Mountains of Poland. It remains one of the largest unfinished construction projects of the war, kilometers of tunnels dug by forced laborers, many of whom died before the network was even half complete. No one fully knows what Ries was meant to be. Some evidence suggests it was to be an underground command center for Hitler himself. Others think it was part of a larger plan for a final fortress, a place where the war could continue underground even after Germany's defeat on the surface. The Allies also uncovered horrors of a different kind, experiments performed in the name of science. In camps like Dachau, Auschwitz, and Ravensbrück, doctors conducted experiments that defied all ethics and reason. At Dachau, prisoners were frozen in ice water or exposed to extreme altitudes to simulate the conditions faced by German pilots. Many died from exposure, and those who survived were left permanently disabled. At Auschwitz, inmates were injected with diseases like typhus, malaria, and tuberculosis in efforts to test vaccines or chemical agents. Perhaps the most infamous figure was Dr. Joseph Mengele, the so-called Angel of Death. At Auschwitz, he conducted cruel genetic experiments, especially on twins, attempting to prove Nazi racial theories through forced surgery and deliberate mutilation. The medical records found after the war showed not scientific progress, but systematic torture, a chilling reflection of ideology corrupting science. The Nazi pursuit of human perfection had transformed medicine into a weapon. Beyond science and technology, the Nazi leadership, particularly Heinrich Himmler and his SS, delved into the occult and pseudo-archaeology. They believed that hidden ancient knowledge could grant power or legitimacy to the Reich. Through the SS organization Ahnenerbe, expeditions were sent to Tibet, Iceland, and the Middle East, seeking relics tied to Aryan mythology. They collected thousands of artifacts, including supposed magical texts, pagan symbols, and even Christian relics like the Holy Lance, the spear said to have pierced Christ's side. These efforts weren't just superstition, they reflected the Nazi attempt to rewrite history itself, to portray the Germanic people as inheritors of an ancient, divine destiny. When Allied forces later raided castles like Wewelsburg, they found entire libraries of occult materials, rituals, and symbols used by the SS elite. The line between mythology and ideology had completely dissolved. As the Reich collapsed, another mystery unfolded: the disappearance of vast stores of stolen wealth. Nazi Germany had looted millions of artworks, gold bars, and cultural treasures from occupied nations. In 1945, Allied soldiers found hundreds of tons of stolen gold hidden in salt mines like Merkers and Altaussee. Masterpieces by Rembrandt, Vermeer, and Michelangelo were stacked like crates in forgotten tunnels. Yet even with these massive recoveries, not everything was found. Stories still persist of the Nazi gold train, said to have vanished into the mountains of Poland loaded with priceless treasure. Despite countless expeditions, its remains have never been confirmed. Whether the train was real or legend, its myth symbolizes the chaos and secrecy that marked the Reich's final days. Among the captured documents were blueprints for weapons that seemed decades ahead of their time: jet-powered aircraft, disc-shaped flying machines, and long-range submarines. While many were impractical or unfinished, some designs directly influenced post-war technology. Operation Paperclip, the US program that recruited German scientists, brought Wernher von Braun and his team to America. Their research led directly to the development of the Saturn V rocket that later carried astronauts to the moon. Soviet forces too seized vast troves of German documents and scientists. Many historians believe early Cold War arms races, from nuclear propulsion to guided missiles, stemmed directly from these Nazi blueprints. The terrifying legacy of Nazi science was that even in defeat, their research continued to shape the future, often hidden behind the classified walls of American and Soviet laboratories. Even today, excavations across Europe still uncover remnants of this dark era: sealed bunkers, unexploded munitions, and forgotten tunnels. In some regions of Poland and the Czech Republic, locals tell stories of ghostly lights in old mines, or of passages sealed by the SS as they fled. Historians and explorers continue to search for the truth about missing projects, not just for treasure, but for understanding. Each new find is a reminder of how far a regime can go when ideology and science lose their moral boundaries. The most terrifying discoveries of Nazi Germany weren't only the weapons they built, but the mindset that made such horrors possible. The fall of Nazi Germany wasn't just the end of a war. It was the unveiling of humanity's darkest depths. Beneath the ruins, Allied soldiers found a world where technology, ideology, and cruelty had fused into something almost beyond comprehension. Every rocket, every experiment, every tunnel carved into the earth was proof of how far the regime would go in its obsession with domination. And decades later, the echoes of those discoveries still shape our understanding of science, power, and morality. So, what do you think? Were some Nazi projects far more advanced, or even more horrifying, than history has admitted? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you found this video insightful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more deep historical explorations. And if you want to make sure you never miss a new upload, turn on the notification bell, because the next story might just uncover another secret the world was never meant to see.